Hello and welcome to STEM with Mr. N, where I perform different demonstrations and explain the science behind what we're seeing. This is a very quick part 2 to the Christmas episode of exploring dissolving with candy canes and Skittles. Let's check it out. In last week's video, I set up an experiment where I put a candy cane in white vinegar and asked you to make a prediction about whether you thought it would dissolve faster than the candy cane in hot water, slower than the hot water but faster than the cold water, or slower than both the types of water. So now let's explore that experiment and see the results. Again, I kept the camera running so you can see in fast time the changes being made to the candy cane, and I'm checking on it after every 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you'll notice that the candy cane is getting a bit thinner and some of the colour has been stripped off it, just like with the hot and cold water. After 10 minutes, even more of the colour has been stripped off, but the bottom part of the candy cane is still firmly attached, whereas the one with hot water had broken off at this point and was loose within the jar. After 15 minutes, there's even more colour gone and the candy cane is looking noticeably thinner, and it even has some dips in it where some of the sugar has dissolved away. If I hold this up next to the one that came out of the cold water after 15 minutes, you'll notice that it is dissolving faster in the white vinegar than it did in the cold water. I decided to put the candy cane back into the cold water to see at what point it eventually fully dissolves. After checking on it at 20 minutes, it's still getting thinner but it's still attached. At 25 minutes, it's even thinner again with more colour gone. And at some point between 25 minutes and 30 minutes, that bottom part of the candy cane broke off. Now, I didn't leave the candy cane in the cold water for all of that time because I was just comparing to see if the cold or hot candy cane dissolved the fastest, and it was noticeably the hot one. However, what we did see in this experiment is that the candy cane in the vinegar was dissolving faster than the candy cane in the cold water. And we saw this when I held them up side by side as they were when they'd come out of their jars at 15 minutes. The one in the white vinegar was noticeably more dissolved than the one from the cold water. However, acid doesn't really have a big impact on sugar when it comes to dissolving. Water is a lot more effective, and the white vinegar is made up mostly of water. So the reason why the candy cane is dissolving faster in the white vinegar than it did in the cold water is not so much to do with the acid in the vinegar, but to do with the fact that this vinegar was at room temperature, whereas the water was cold. This means that the water in the vinegar has a bit more energy than the cold water, leading to this candy cane dissolving a bit faster. So again, it came down to temperature rather than the substance that the candy cane was in. Thank you to everyone who sent me your predictions, and if you got it right, well done. And if you didn't, now you know why the results came out the way that they did. But remember, as I said last week, you can try lots of different liquids to see what effect that has on the dissolving of candy canes. Just remember to use identical candy canes so that your results are not affected by any other variables. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Before I go, I would just like to say a very big Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you, and thank you for supporting my channel throughout the last 3.5 years. It is really an honour to be able to make these videos for you and engage you in STEM education, so thank you very much for your support. If you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date on all future content, and I'll be back in the new year with more of my STEM videos. You can subscribe to the channel by pushing the button here, and I've added links here to the other STEM demo and explanation videos I do, here to my STEM career interviews, and here to my series on 100 scientists who influenced the world. This has been STEM with Mr. N's part 2 of dissolving candy canes and Skittles.